Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Legal Legends Podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomat, Vice President of Strategic Partnership with Synergy and founder of Legal Legends Podcast. Today, I bring to you a legal legend, but so much more than that. I mean, a business mogul, someone who is creating opportunities for so many. His employees love him. That is a rare thing in the legal industry. He does so much for his team. He brings so much, and he's quiet in how he moves. It's not about look at me, it's about look at my team. He's involved in so many different businesses, and he is an inspiration to so many, including myself. I'm honored to have him here with me today. I bring to you the co-founder and owner of Demesmin and Dover law firm, Victor Demesmin. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Rudy, I appreciate you having me, brother. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. So I appreciate it, man.
I see Kobe Bryant behind you.
Yes.
I know he inspires you.
Yeah, no. Kobe's a huge inspiration to me, man. Like, growing up, it's funny because growing up, a lot of people called me Kobe because they said I would look like him a little bit. I had the same forehead. I played basketball, so I used to get Kobe as my nickname. And when he passed, that hit me pretty hard. But I always remember him because I put this mural in my house so that I can constantly live my day the way he lived his day, and try to be the greatest individual that I could be and try to spread love, try to spread like hope and try to inspire others. So I know that's what Kobe did, and that's what I try to do every single day. I'm not perfect, but I aspire to be as perfect. I aspire to be as perfect as I can, and I know that's something Kobe lived by. So yeah, Kobe's the man.
Do you do the 666 workout sessions that he does? I'm
Yeah.
sure
So I
you've
mean,
read that. I'm sure
yeah,
you've
yeah.
read
So
about
it's
that.
funny you say that because I usually wake up every morning. I woke up this morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'll start off with the sauna. I got the sauna in this gym right here, and then I'll hit the treadmill. Then I'll hit the pads a little bit, and then I'll get some weights in, and then I'll take my kids to school, and then I'll come back home, and then I'll get another workout, and then I get to the office by then. So yeah, so every day I actually try to live by that motto that Kobe did. And for those that are listening that don't know, Kobe would always say that there are 24 hours in a day, and instead of starting your workout later in the day, like at 8 o'clock, and be done at 10, and only getting like 2 workouts in, why not start at 4 o'clock? Come back, bring your kids to school, come get another workout. By 11 o'clock in the morning, you've already got 2 workouts in. You can get another 2 workouts by the end of the day, and that's what made him great. He was working out twice as hard as everyone else, and everyone else was working twice a day. He's working out 4 times a day because he used his time management to his full potential. So I try to live by that. And Kobe, yes, Kobe is the man, and that's why he's so great, man.
You've lived an entire day before people wake up. You've done a whole day before people wake up.
I mean, you got to realize, I'm so busy. I try to spend as much time with my team as possible, but at the same time, I have a family. I've got a wife. I've got 3 kids. My parents. My sister. So I try to be as much of a businessman. I try to be a family man too. It's like work-life balance for me, and that's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me motivated. Because at the end of the day, I can have all of this, all of these great things, but if I don't have, people to share it with and the family to share it with, then it means nothing. So for me, the only way I can get these workouts in, the only way I can keep myself sane and take care of my body and take care of my mental health is to wake up a little bit earlier in the day so that I can accomplish everything else I got to do for my clients, for the community, for my family, for my employees and my coworkers.
Talk about your life growing up. I mean, your father is a real estate broker, correct?
Yes.
How did
Yeah.
that shape where you've gone in life? Because I mean, you have taken business to a different level. And I know you started off in real estate when you were younger and before you became an attorney. I mean, how did that shape work ethic to where you are and so forth right now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know, but both of my parents were born in Haiti. They were both born in Haiti. My dad moved here when he was about 16. He moved to Massachusetts, Boston, where I was born. My mom moved to Boston when she was 18. So two parents that came from another country, right, that had to come to the United States, for land of opportunity and make a way for themselves, for their families. And I think it started from there before I was even born, right? It was kind of instilled in me that you got to fight for what you want, and you got to keep pushing, and you got to be resilient. And it's all of these things that kind of had molded me. They molded me into the person that I've become and the person that I strive to be. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I will say that the parents that I have, the family that I have, is what shaped me into the individual that I am today. My dad was always a businessman growing up. You know, he's always owned his own business. Before real estate, he had a travel agency. It's before internet, right? Where you had to go to a travel agent and buy a flight,
Yeah.
you know. And he did very, very well until, that business kind of died down because of the internet. And he had to adapt. And, as resilient as he's always been, he found a way and he went into the real estate field, and then from the real estate field, everybody knows what happened in 2008. He had to adapt again, right? In 2008, for those
Yeah.
who don't know, the real estate market crashed, Dodd-Frank Act, it was very tough for the real estate market at that time. So that my dad got into insurance and then he got into mortgage, right? So he wasn't just a real estate agent, right? He was a mortgage broker, a real estate broker, mortgage broker, and now insurance broker. So he did all three. So my dad's always found a way to, like, okay, well, this is not working. Now I got to do this. If this is not working, now I got to do this. And that's part of the reason why probably I'm so involved in so many different things, because I've always remembered that mindset from my dad. You can't always have all your eggs in one basket, right? And diversify your portfolio a little bit, just in case this one's not doing too well. You can at least bounce off of this one. And for me, that's why now I probably have about 10 plus businesses now, which drives me crazy. But at the same time, it's, hey, like Jay-Z said, man, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's what we own. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, I've always had that mentality, go big or go home. And my mom, she's always been a huge part of my education. My dad was always the worker, and my mom was always the person that would be at home making sure. Well, my mom worked. Don't get it twisted. Before my mom goes crazy, my mom is an engineer to this day. You know what I'm saying? But she was more of the person who focused on the schoolwork. Making sure that we did all our homework. Was always at my basketball games. All the sport activities, volleyball that my sister did, football that I did. So she's always a supporter in that standpoint. And then my dad was always, the provider, and worked hard. And to this day, he's still working hard. And to this day, he has an office in our office. So it allows us to now actually work together, which has always been a dream of mine, to work side by side with my dad. So I get to see my dad every day. I'm not too far away from my mom. And then I have my family here, my wife, my kids, and my wife supports me so much. So those are all the pieces that allows me to be great. It's not everyone sees me and they're like, but they don't realize that I have so many people behind me that are pushing me, supporting me, and continue to support me throughout everything that I'm doing that allows me to do what I do.
So did you know when you were in your, I guess, did you know as you were growing up that lawyer was your path? Because I mean, I know my family's from Haiti, and it's typically three things: lawyer,
Engineer,
doctor,
doctor,
engineer. Like if all those other things,
don't
like
matter.
what? Like don't come home saying you're gonna do art or
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Like they're like, what the hell is that? Was that always your thought? Was that lawyer was what you wanted, or when did you figure that out?
So it's funny, that wasn't always my thought. But what you're saying is true. Like our parents from a Haitian family always want you to be lawyer, doctor, engineer. Those are like the three big things. Growing up, my dad was a boxer for like when he was growing up, and as a kid, I started doing boxing. So I wanted at one point, funny story, I wanted to be a doctor and an OBGYN, surprisingly. A lot of people don't know that, but yes, I wanted to be an OBGYN. I don't know what it was. I think I just love babies. And, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I get to bring an individual to life and, like, out of somebody and into the world. Like, that was always fascinating to me. And I remember one day as a kid, I started crying. I was probably like 8, 9 years old. And my dad was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor and I'm gonna be a boxer and I'm gonna have all this money and they're gonna try to kill me. And I literally remember this vividly, right? And then my dad's like, what? No, like you can be whatever you want to be in life. Like you just gotta focus and do it, and I remember after that, I still wanted to be OBGYN until I got to, I would say, college, right? When I got to college, I joined the mock trial team and I would hear a lot about OBGYNs getting sued a lot. And I was like, oh, I don't want to get sued. I don't know nobody sue me, So I started thinking of other careers, and then I was like, maybe I can be an accountant, And then I was like, no, I don't really like math like that. Like, no, I was good at debate. I've always been I've always been good at debate. I've always been good at public speaking. So for me, I was like, okay, let me join the mock trial team. Joined the mock trial team at University of Central Florida. Did very, very well. Ranked national, competed nationals, and it was at that time that my dad was, real estate market was booming again, and he was doing well with real estate, and he was doing good with his mortgage and insurance. He said, "Hey, Vic, you should go to law school, and we can open up a title company." And I was like, "Title company?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's like I know how many files I'm bringing them every day to close. We could just keep it in house. We already have the mortgage, we have the insurance, we have the real estate. Let's get a title company. We'll just do everything, one-stop shop." So I said, "All right." Went to law school, LSU, Louisiana State University. And once I graduated from law school, my dad was like, "Yo, you ready to start this firm?" I was like, "No, I don't know how to start a firm. Like, I don't know anything about a firm. Like, what do you mean?" But what it is people think that when you go to law school, they teach you how to run a firm. Like, we don't learn anything about that. Like, nothing. We learn about certain ways to think, thinking outside the box, reading a bunch of case law, and trying to interpret case law. That's really all it's about, and seeing how well you analyze and interpret case law and how you think outside the box. So I had to explain that to my dad, and I was like, "No, I'm not ready. I wouldn't know what to do, and I don't want to get sued for malpractice. So no, I'm not ready to start a law firm." So I ended up applying for jobs, and the goal was to apply and work there for no more than 6 months, because I was like, "I'm going to get it within 6 months. I'm going to learn how to start my own firm. I'm going to do everything." So I started applying, started reaching out to people and telling them, like, "Yeah, do you guys have any place for me to work? I only want to be there for 6 months. Yeah, just learn, da, da, da," thinking that was the best way to approach the situation. Not realizing that nobody wants to hire me for 6 months to teach me things for me to leave and then start my own firm. So I quickly aborted that mission and learned that I'm going to say that I want to work here for a long time. And, and I want to find a job where I can grow and all that. Fast forward, I ended up working at a firm and was there for a good 4 years, I would say. And at that time, that's when I felt ready and decided to spread my wings and fly and start my own firm. My partner, Jamie Dover.
How did you end up at LSU? What made you go that direction? I mean, you're South Florida. I mean, you have family from Boston, the Bayou. Like, where did that come from? I mean,
So I went to UCF undergrad, University of Central Florida, and I never got that college experience where I would leave the state and be in another place, another climate, another environment. And I was like, "This is my last chance. I'm not going to be going to school anytime after this." So I applied to all the state schools in Florida, but I also applied to quite a few other schools outside of Florida. I applied to some schools in Boston, Northeastern. I applied to West Virginia. Like, there were a lot of schools that I applied to. When I got into LSU, it was a decision for me to go there because it was close to home, but still far away from home, where I wasn't close to home, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you had to get on a flight. You're not
Yeah.
driving 13 hours to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right? And then I was able to immerse myself into another culture. And if you've been to Louisiana, it's a different place. You know what I mean? Not just the people, everything, the food. And when I say that, I say that in a good way, right? It's definitely look at the Super Bowl. Like, look how they did the national anthem. It's just so Louisiana. It has its own vibe, right? And when I was there, I felt that Southern hospitality. And not until you go to another state outside of Florida, because Florida's not really Southern like that. It's a melting pot, right? So we're outside of South Florida, I should say, because maybe somewhere in the Panhandle you'll feel it. But like, I never felt that Southern hospitality until I got to Louisiana, and then I started eating the food, the gumbo, the shrimp etouffee, the jambalaya, the beignets. Like, I could go on and on and on about all the food that I enjoyed when I was in Louisiana. And not to say, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't far away from home. The sunshine was still there. It was still warm weather. Didn't have to worry about snowstorms and shoveling snow and all those things. So the food, the people, the environment, and the fact that it was only an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home. And I must say, Odell Beckham was there at the time. Jarvis Landry was there at the time. Tyrann Mathieu was there at the time. Les Miles was there at the time. So there's nothing like college football at Death Valley on a Saturday to watch those guys play. So all those reasons combined is why I'm a Tiger.
I mean, yeah, because Central Florida, I mean, they had football, but it's not SEC football at the time. It was nothing like that. Not at all.
If you want to know football, go to Death Valley on a Saturday when they're playing the Gators. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when that's football,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you go to St. Thomas Aquinas for high school. Did you have those hoop dreams, those football dreams, because you can't go to St. Thomas Aquinas and play sports and not have that. I'm playing college football somewhere,
Yeah.
especially if you're playing at St. Thomas.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, every kid at St. Thomas does, you know.
Mhm.
I had basketball dreams. I had football dreams, but mostly basketball. I grew up playing basketball. Grew up idolizing
Okay.
Kobe. I grew up idolizing Jordan. You know, so those guys, I always wanted to be like those guys. But luckily for me, I also had the academics to back it up. Uh, there are several of my friends and people that I went to school with that I played with. You know, they only had sports to rely on. You know, for me, I was able to rely on both, and kudos to my parents. Like I said from before, my mom was always on me about my homework and doing the right thing, having good grades. So yeah, St. Thomas was great. It taught me a lot. It's probably part of the reason why I'm so competitive in a good way. But I just want to do. I'll do whatever it takes without crossing the line. I'll do whatever it takes to win, and that's part of that, STA pride, that we like to say that was instilled in me at St. Thomas Aquinas and from my parents. I never give up. I'm always going to work hard, win or lose, and to me, I don't look at anything as losses, right? Everything it's a win or a lesson. And I learned from every single one of those, and all of those are stepping stones to the next destination. The reason why I say the next destination instead of success is because there is really no success is different per individual, right? And then when you get to your destination, you realize that when you get there is another place to go. Like you have to go here. So it's never really about the destination. It's always been about the process for me. And that's why I continue enjoying what I do every single day, because yes, I've accomplished having a firm. Now what? Right? Yes, I've accomplished having a great. Now what? Yes, I've accomplished having a great agency. Right? Now what? And for me, I'm always trying to make challenges for myself. I still have those dreams of walking out to a fan base of thousands of people screaming my name. And I think it might happen this year. You never know.
I was having a conversation with your wife at one of your events,
Hmm.
and I will get to the event that it was, but later on. But I was having a conversation with her. I said, "When did you ever envision this?" And I mean, talk about what it's like to have someone with such a mind that's so wide open that knows I can accomplish anything because you're an attorney. Most attorneys don't think in this way. I'm a lawyer. You're a businessman. That's because I've worked with hundreds of lawyers, and there's very few that have that business acumen. And it's like he thinks of things that no one can think of. Like it just the ability to foresee this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Oh no, no way. This is gonna happen. You have a law firm. Talk about starting that law firm. Let's first of all talk about starting that law firm. You start your law firm. You're on Broward Boulevard and 441. Within what 12 months, you're on 17th Street by the port. How did it happen so fast? Did you
Well,
envision it happening so fast?
yes and no. So yes, I did envision it. It was always my idea. Even when me and Jeremy decided to leave, it was my idea originally, because I've always had that dream of starting my own firm. I'm always the type of person that if you see it and you believe it, it can happen. And my great friend Conor McGregor always said that, and I know you love Conor, so I had to throw that in there. But if you see it and you believe it, it can happen. And I'm the type of person that if I say something's going to happen, it'll happen. Now, that it doesn't just happen by magic. Obviously, I'm very calculated. I know, things that I must accomplish and things that I must do in order to make that goal happen. I just feel like anything in this world can happen as long as you put your mind to it. You surround yourself with the right people, the right team, because you can't do it on your own. The right team, and having the support of individuals around you. And that's why I always strive to do right by people, right? Because the biggest commodity in life is not money. That's where most lawyers mess up, right? It's people, right? So you can have money, money comes and goes, right? But once you have people behind you, you can build a legacy that lasts a lifetime. So for me, I've always wanted to start my own firm. It was just finding the perfect time to execute, right? I consider myself someone who knows how to execute. I'm a planner, I'm a dreamer, but I can execute. And there are people that are planners and dreamers that can't execute. So they plan and they dream these things, but it just never happens, right? Anybody can do what I did or what I'm doing, right? Because I'm still doing it. I'm not done yet, right? But they just have to have the right people around them and the right mindset. And they can't have those negative thoughts pulling them back. The reason why most people don't accomplish most things is because they just never start, or they're always scared of the results, because fear is the not knowing the opposite side of what may happen, right? And for me, it was like, I'd rather die. Like I told you earlier, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant, right? So like for me, it's like, I'd rather die, because the worst part for me is the fear of regret. I would rather die trying, like 50 Cent said, get rich or die trying. I'd rather die trying than sit back and be like, "Oh, I wish I would have known what would have happened. If I would have done this, had I done this." Can you imagine if I was still at my old firm, just sitting back wondering, like, you wouldn't even be having this conversation with me, right? So for me, that's the cool part. And now that I've been able to accomplish those goals, now I feel like I can accomplish any goal. If I really, really, really want to, as long as I have the support of my family, my wife, my kids, and you guys, the people. That's all that matters.
You have your partner Jeremy. You guys, at least to me, can't be more different. It's more like a yin to yang. You have the outgoing personality, like you mentioned. You love to speak publicly. You have no problem hopping on a mic in front of 400, 500 people and not have anything prepared. From what I've seen, not have a word prepared and just go. Whereas I know you've told me he's the analytical one. He's the mathematician, right? Or more, into numbers. How did that relationship between the two of y'all? Oh, he's also has a diet that I've never seen on any human being on earth. He has probably 1 ounce of body fat. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd walk around shirtless all day too if I had that type of body. But tell me, how did that relationship come to pass? You met, I guess, when you were at your previous firm, and like, how did you guys develop that relationship to then come up with all this? Because you do more, the two of y'all, than just law.
Yeah, no, Jeremy's my little brother that I never had. Jeremy, I met him in court. I was working at the last firm, Andrew Levine. I met him in court, and he was working for another firm at the time.
Okay.
And we became friends. When I met him, I didn't even know he was a lawyer, to be honest with you. If you met Jeremy, he looks like he's 14 years old. Kudos to him, because when we're 60, he's gonna look like he's 30. Great. I wish, kudos to him, right? But when I first met him, he was always in court, always had a big old suit on, no tie. And I'm like, who's this? Who let this kid in the courtroom? Like, what is he doing? And then I would see him go in front of the judge, and I'm like, oh, is he a lawyer? Like, I had no idea. So one day I decided to talk. I'm like, yo, are you a lawyer? He's like, yeah, I'm a lawyer. Da, da, da. So we exchanged information, and he would hit me up all the time, and he was always talking to me about law stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't catch a break. This kid's always talking to me about law. I don't want to talk about law. I've clocked out. I'm not trying to talk about law. He's always talking to me about law. So then there was an opening at my old firm, and I told my boss, I was like, hey, like, there's this kid, like, he's always talking to me about the law, about what we do. He might be a good person to bring on board. They interviewed him. At first, they weren't too keen on him. I'm like, please, just give him a chance. Give him a chance. They end up giving him a chance. Luckily for me, I was able to have him come onto that firm, and it allowed us to become essentially partners without the risk of a partnership, right? Because it wasn't our firm, but we were managing the department together, and it allowed me to get to know him a little deeper and see how he works. And at that point, that's when I realized what kind of person he was. I found out about his upbringing, which is completely different than mine, and I can allow him to tell his story one day. But, we're complete opposite spectrums of the upbringing. And one thing I will say, Jeremy, lost both of his parents. And, the difference between me and him is that he lost both of his parents, and I had both of my parents, and I still have both of my parents helping me, supporting me. And I'm so inspired by Jeremy. You say you're inspired by me. I'm inspired by Jeremy, because he's been able to do all the things that I've been able to do, and he hasn't had all the same resources, right? So for me,
Yeah.
that's kind of inspiring. But when I got to know him, I realized that, he had a lot of the qualities that I was looking for, me personally, what I was looking for in a business partner. Yeah, and I remember when I first told people, "Hey, I think I'm going to partner up with Jeremy." People were like, "Jeremy? What? You guys are like complete opposites. Like, why would you partner up with Jeremy? Why don't you partner up with this person or this person or this person?" And thank God they didn't see what I saw. Because if they saw what I saw, they'd be running to partner up with Jeremy too, right? But I was able to see, the gem, that Jeremy had. And one of the things about Jeremy that I loved is the fact that, again, his upbringing, how he was able to overcome all of that, his perseverance, and the fact that he wasn't a greedy person, very selfless person, right? So me knowing that that's someone that I look for in a partnership, because I look at partnerships as a marriage, right? I want to make sure that when I partner up with this individual, we're not going to have a divorce, right? We're going to be able to go through all of it together. And when I realized that he had all those qualities, he knew what I was good at. He allowed me to be great at what I was great at, and I knew what he was good at, and I allowed him, and I continue to allow him to be great at what he's good at. And we respect each other so much from a partnership standpoint. We've gone through so much together that it's almost impossible to break us apart, right? And I'm very, especially these days, people be like, "Vic, why don't you argue with Jeremy about this or this?" Is like, I kind of pick my battles down, right? Because I know the importance of the partnership more so than trying to win an argument, if that makes sense, right? It's just like, you have a significant other, so right? You've got to pick your battles and make sure that at the end of the day, it's okay to disagree, but always disagree respectfully, right? And that's something that I try to do with Jeremy, and it's something that we do with each other. And another thing that I've implemented too is that we're not just lawyers, right? We're entrepreneurs, we're businessmen, we're philanthropists, we're community guys, we're everything, and we're gonna do everything together. So all of the other businesses that we're a part of, all the things that we have, it's all 50-50. And there's a reason behind that, right? I've had numerous people come up to me and try to partner with me, this and this, and try to do things on the side. And I say, yeah, that's great. Let me introduce you to my partner, Jeremy. Because I never want to have a situation where there starts to become envy, or and that's what happens with most partnerships. Most partnerships end over money, greed. So I've never wanted that, right? I've always wanted everything to be 50-50. So if I'm at one of the restaurants, Jeremy can't be like, "Why aren't you in the office?" Well, where I'm at our restaurant to make sure our restaurant is running smoothly so that we can both benefit from that, right? If I'm in DR, I'm at our, like, so like we have so many different things together, but I make sure that everything is 50-50 for the sake of our friendship, for the sake of our partnership, and the sake of the firm.
When did you decide, okay, now your law firm is humming? You have, I think, you have close to 100 people right now, something like that, 70 to 100 people in the law firm alone. When did you decide, I'm going to move into doing a sports agency? As for folks that do not know, Victor has a sports agency called All In Sports Management. I remember when he was deciding on a logo or a name, you were texting me back and forth. We were going back and forth with names, and I mean, for those who don't know, Victor and I are massive sports fans. We go back and forth about MMA, talking crap back and forth, and he starts a sports agency. When did you decide that was gonna happen? When did that conversation with Jeremy happen? And it was like, I want to do a sports agency. I got it. I'm doing a sports agency. Like, when did that conversation happen?
So, I mean, just like me doing personal injury,
Yeah.
that happened on accident. Like, I didn't remember I was going to go do a title company. My dad wanted me to be a title agent. I graduated from law school and I ended up working at a firm. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do no title company. I'm gonna sue insurance companies. That's where, So I started the firm, obviously, and I always try to do other things and diversify the portfolio. Jeremy says, "Hey, I have a buddy of mine. He just left a sports agency. We should talk to him."
Wow.
Okay. I was like, all right, cool. Let's talk to him. I spoke to him, and I like the kid. I shouldn't call him a kid because he's a grown up, but he's my partner, right?
Yeah.
Eloy. I love Eloy. And I met him, and I was like, he's a good dude. Let's see what we could do. He was an NFL agent, right? So when we first started the sports agency, it was going to be NFL. And I told Jeremy, I said, "Hey, Jeremy, you know how I am. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something.
I'm going all in.
I'm going all in, brother. You know, so if you want to do the sports agency, just know I'm going to have to step back from the firm a little bit and do the sports agency. He said, all right, cool. I believe in you. Let's go. You know, I think I've gotten to the point now where Jeremy doesn't question when I say something anymore, right? He knows that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to actually do it. So he gave me the green light to start the sports agency with Eloy and him, obviously, but me and Eloy, you know, doing the forefront of most of the things. And right after that, I had a meeting with Jorge Masvidal. Coincidentally, right? About some marketing stuff for stuff that he was doing, and he came by the office, and we started talking about fighters. And as you know, Rudy, I love me some MMA, you know, and I love me some fighting. I grew up watching fighting. My dad was a boxer, so fighting's always been a part of my life. So I was like, okay, I had a brilliant idea. Why don't I manage fighters? And Eloy manages the NFL side and does the NFL side of things.
Yeah.
So we started off, the first client that we signed was Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP, and he was the football guy that we signed. We're the ones that helped him get to the Dolphins last year and the Saints and all that stuff. And then I started signing a bunch of fighters. As you know, within the last year, we've probably become the biggest agency in the bare knuckle fighting championship. And the funny thing is, the reason why I started falling in love with MMA was because of my obsession with Conor McGregor. And full circle, after I start, you know, managing fighters in the BKFC, Conor McGregor becomes part owner of the BKFC. Like, you couldn't write it any better, Rudy. Like think about that. You couldn't write it any better. So my idol now, I see him like on an everyday basis. Not every day, but like whenever the events are there, you know, I was in Marbella with Conor McGregor. Like if you would have told me this 2 years ago, I would have said, Rudy, like, stop it. Like, this will never happen, right? And yes, I envisioned having a sports agency. Yes, I envisioned doing well because I know how to market really well, and I know how to, you know, grow and scale companies very, very well, and I know how to grow a team and put people in the right position very, very well. So all of that part I knew would happen, right? Didn't know Conor McGregor was going to become part owner of the BKFC and kind of make everything full circle for me. So yes, so that's how we started the agency, and now I'm so proud because I've got so many of these fighters that I'm helping, not just helping them in the ring, but outside of the ring. I'm helping them change their lives. I'm helping put food on their table, you know, with their families, and all the things that I've enjoyed building at Demesmin and Dover with my employees. I get to build now with the sports agency, and you know, it's so rewarding for me and fulfilling for me to be a part of it. Like when I do that part of my work, I like really don't feel like I'm working. Like I'm like, how am I able to? Why do I get to do? I remember I used to tell my wife this. I used to get so fascinated when the UFC would like launch a card and it'd be like McGregor versus Habib and everybody's going crazy, right? You know, and I'd be like, man, I wish I would know how that felt like to be like part of those negotiations and like know a card's coming and no one else knows a card's coming, and then all of a sudden they blast it everywhere and everyone starts going crazy. Like that's what I'm doing now, which is so cool. Like I texted you the other day, I said, hey, I got a main event coming up. I can't tell you who it is, but it's about to come. And boom, it hit the internet, right? I had two actually, because I also had Hunt in Italy. So but I've been able to do all of that within just 1 year, Rudy, 1 year. So the sports agency thing is kind of cool for me. It's like a side gig, you know. I don't want to say side gig because I don't want to lessen it. I don't want fighters thinking that I don't take it as a priority. It is a priority, but it's almost like a mission that wasn't expected that I'm partaking in now and that I'm all in on now. And the pun is intended. So I want people to know that, you know, this is not just a short-term thing. And this is something that I see myself doing for a long time. And I also want to grow with that company because I do see a lot of potential in that company. It's great for me to be a part of it at the beginning and to grow with the company and grow with the fighters. And a lot of, you know, we represent most of the top guys in the BKFC, you know, and we're very picky and selective of who we want to represent. But this year, you know, I'm going to open it up a little bit because everyone's reaching out to us and everybody wants us to represent them. And, you know, I think we've built a foundation now to be able to, to provide those services. I'm all for the product, right? I want to make sure that if I'm gonna provide any kind of thing, that I'm able to provide the right product. My reputation is the biggest thing, and I've said no. Not all money is good money, so I've said no quite a few times. But I think now we're ready to go all in this year, and I'm super excited. I'm so happy to be a part of it. And not only that, like I told you earlier, I've always had a dream of walking out there and people screaming my name, and this year might be the year.
When you're at these events, I mean, I've been to a few of them. And now I'm lucky to be credentialed in large part because of you, to cover these events because I do have a sports podcast. For those that you don't know, come on now the podcast, and I do a combat corner, which I'm trying so hard to
Combat
expand. I'm
corner.
trying to expand it. I need more viewership for combat sports, and I really am getting into. I liked BKFC, and then you got into BKFC, and I was watching, and I'm like, I started watching it more and more and more because obviously we're both into the UFC and maybe Bellator and so forth, but this is really ground up, grassroots. Because you hear David Feldman's story. I mean, I heard it and I almost cried.
Yeah,
Like it was, bro, the way he grew up. My God, I heard that story. I was just like, woof.
yeah.
So when the Philadelphia card Knucklemania 5 comes out, you know how much that means to this man, and it's remarkable. So, but you're sitting there at the Hard Rock. There was one also at Dolphin Mall, which I thought was the coolest event ever.
Devo, yeah.
I thought it was so cool. And you have your logo for the law firm on the mat, on the posts at these local events with the Hard Rock and so forth. What goes through your mind when you
I mean,
see that? Because there's a statement saying that people, if you're doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Is that what you see right now?
yeah. I mean, I definitely see that. When I see the logo on the mat, I'm more happy for my parents, than myself. You know what I'm saying? For all
Mhm.
the hard work, dedication, sacrifice that they put for me.
Yeah.
To accomplish what I've been able to accomplish, and for them to see their last name, obviously that they passed on to me on the mat, it is pretty cool. But for me, I've always envisioned it, man. Like I said, if you see it, you believe it, it's gonna happen, and it's definitely cool, But for me, I understand the importance of supporting the promotion too, especially at the beginning, as they grow. I want them to understand that I'm not here to take their money, like other agencies maybe, right? This is something I do on top of everything else that I do, right? It's a promotion that I believe in. It's a promotion that I support. I love the people involved in the promotion, like you said, David Feldman, Sergio. There are quite a other few people. I don't want to miss names, but quite a
Yeah.
few people that are involved in the promotion that I deal with on a daily basis. So shout out to all of those people. Men, women that help that promotion grow. But for me, I want them to know that I'm here for a while, and I'm here to help them. And eventually, if I'm able to benefit, great. If not, at least the fighters will, and that's all that matters for me.
You've met a lot of these young fighters, and they're all. I mean, you're in your mid-30s now. You're getting old. I know.
Hey, don't say that. My birthday's in 2 days.
I know. February 12th, man.
Yes, sir.
So you got a lot of these young guys who have come up difficult ways, and you're watching them now live dreams, and It's happened fast for a lot of them. Or and I've talked to some of these guys, and like they're living dreams in large part because of what you've helped these guys accomplish and get to. What does that feel like? Because every time I ask them, I talk about you in conversation, and all they can do is rave. Like, what does that feel like? That's probably more important than anything for you, I'm sure.
I mean, I feel like it means that I'm living in my purpose, and
Mhm.
I think every single individual that's here on this earth, or this planet, I should say, um, has a purpose, and I feel like mine is to help change people's lives, situations, spark interest in certain people's minds, and make people feel like they can accomplish anything in life. Um, I've Every time I help an individual, I get more fulfillment from helping than receiving, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Have I been screwed? Yeah, it's all part of the course. That's fine with me. Because at
life.
the end of the day, um, I do it for the fighter, but I do it for
Mhm.
me because I know how it makes me feel to see me helping another individual that may not have the same resources, may not have the same guidance, may not have the same support that I've had, and I know that, yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm a successful businessman. All of it could be gone tomorrow, right? But the things that you do, the way you make people feel, last forever. Whatever you say, whatever you do, they may forget, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's something that I live by. That's Maya Angelou. That's something that I live by every single day. And I know that my purpose is to help people in any way, shape, or form, whether it's a fighter, whether it's an employee at my law firm, whether it's somebody at one of my restaurants, whether it's my family, a family member, whether it's you, Rudy. It doesn't really matter, right? And help doesn't necessarily mean financial. It could be anything. It could be emotional support. I have people that call me just to help them because they want to leave and start their own business, right? And they ask me for advice. And I'm always one to give advice because I always want to pay it forward. And I want to make sure that people have the resources that I had when I was starting my own firm, and that was my dad. My dad was a huge part of that. He was always supporting me, even when I was going through some of the things that I was going through that about when I first started my own firm.
Yeah.
My dad was the main one, like, hey, man, you're already in the ring. You might as well fight. You can't walk out now, and all of that actually helped me. At the time, it seemed like I was living a nightmare, but it honestly was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like, I don't even know if I would be where I'm at, and I mean that. I don't know if I'd be where I'm at if I didn't have to go through that fire, especially at the beginning. And that fire, like I said, is what helped me and Jeremy's partnership become even stronger, right? Because now you can start whatever fire you want. It doesn't matter because we've already put out one of the biggest fires we ever had to put out in our entire life, right? And it made us more confident. It made us stronger. But one thing that I always say that, and I always keep this in mind is stay level-headed. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And everything you have could be gone tomorrow. So that's why I stay humble as much as possible. I try to help out as much as possible, and I move in silence, like you like to say. They call me the Black Mamba for a reason too. So for me, I want to make sure that I continue doing that. I want to make sure that I continue paying it forward, and I want to make sure that I continue helping people, because when I do that, I feel like I'm living in my purpose.
I want to bring back to something about your employees, because I remember this is something that you and Jeremy did for one of your employees, and you kind of put it on social, but I don't think people really understood on social what you guys did. But at the end of the year, I think it was probably 3 years ago,
Yeah.
you had an employee of the year, and from what I remember, she was taking the bus to work every single day, never late, never misses a day. And at the end of the year, you guys name her, and mind you, you got 60, 70 employees. She's named Employee of the Year, and you guys got her a car. I don't think, when you talk about an employee that will run through a wall for people, I presume that woman has broken through 50,000 walls for you guys now at this point, because that's emotional. Because to me, I watched the video, and since I knew that you guys were doing, I was like, oh my God, this is like my tear jerking like crazy. What was that moment like for you guys, for her? And how does it feel to have employees that are that loyal to you guys, that will, because you have a bunch of them, and I'll name a few as we go. I know who I'm going to name, but I don't know her name. But talk about that experience and what that was for you and Jeremy and for that employee.
Yeah, I mean, even that video is still on our social media. Even when I watch that video, I still get emotional. I'm a very emotional person. People don't know that.
And this is when getting cars was hard.
Yeah, the you don't understand what we had to go
You
through. I'm
couldn't
so glad
find
you brought
cars.
that up.
There were no new cars out there.
Okay, so I didn't even think about that until you just brought that up. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was one of the coolest moments of my entire life, to be honest with you. I don't want to say the, but one of, for sure. This individual that you're talking about has a hearing disability, and a lot of people don't know that she's fully sign language. Well, she does sign language, but she also speaks. I don't remember if it's something she was born with. But long story short, like you said, she was always at work on time every single day. Single mother, 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Single mother, 2 kids, always on time. She was working at a grocery store before she was working at our firm. And I'm all about trying to give people opportunities, especially people that may not have been given those opportunities had it not been for them working with us at our firm. So like I said, she was working at a grocery store. I decided to bring her on, and every time I would look at the cameras in the morning. You know, employees aren't supposed to be there till 8:30. She was there like 7:45, 8 o'clock. I'd be looking at the camera. She's vacuuming. Mind you, we have a cleaning service. But like if they didn't clean enough, she would text me, "Hey boss, they left toilet paper on the floor." Like she was like on top of it, right? And it just goes to show you like she actually cared about the firm. She actually cared about Demesmin Dover. She actually cared about us as individuals. And I told my business partner, I told Jeremy, I said, "Hey man, I don't care what it costs. I want to do something special for her at the end of the year." So it was like we had like 5 or 6 people game planning this, right? Because another part of the story is she didn't have a driver's license because she had failed her driver's license prior because of the disability, and
Disability, yeah.
nobody was helping her. So I took one of my employees and I said, "Hey, this is what I need you to do. I need you to help her pass her driving test. I don't want her to know that we're getting her a car. I want you to tell her that part of her job is going to be driving one of the company vehicles, and she needs to have a driver's license. I want you to help her with the process." She was very hesitant at first. You know, she didn't trust the employee. Like, why are these people trying to make me drive? I don't trust this. Da, da, da. Long story short, she passed the driving test.
Yeah.
Right. And when she passed the driving test, me and Jeremy went to look for cars. This was in the middle of COVID.
Yes.
When cars were very
Very scarce.
impossible to come by. It was the craziest time. I still remember that. Like, it was so hard to get her a car. So we finally ended up getting her a car. And what we did was we decided that we were going to give it to her at Secret Santa. We'd do Secret Santa at the end of the year for all the employees. We'd give each other gifts. And we were going to surprise the entire staff with one employee of the year. And the employee of the year had no idea. It wasn't like the employee of the year gets a car. Like, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was just that we just wanted to give praise to an employee that we felt like has been working very hard, and they deserve this recognition. So, and like I said, it's on the social media. If you guys go back, you'll see it.
I'll link it in the description, people, so you can see, because it's gonna it's gonna move you.
Yeah. So we give her the gift, and in the gift is a box. And she opens the box, and then in the box is another box, and in the box is another box, until she finally gets to the gift inside of the box. And inside of the box, it's a picture with a bow on her car, her brand new car. So that's when she realized that we paid for her car, and now she has a car from the firm, and she's still employed with us. And like I said, it was one of the coolest moments of my life to be able to do that for her and her family.
Dude, she's never going anywhere. Are you kidding?
Well, I mean, yeah, you might not be. She may start changing and not be a great employee. Who knows? But
I don't think that will happen.
As of now, everything is good.
You got some great employees. I mean, you have the ones that started from day one, the day one employees. I mean, and what you've done with some of these employees, Sam, who is your executive assistant, personal assistant, Linda, who basically, I mean, does she run the law firm beyond the lawyers? I mean, she's been there since day one when you guys were on 441 in Broward. It's talk about having a couple of women like that who you can rely on. Obviously, your wife is your most reliable person in your life, and your mother, but having employees who are, who you can rely on like that. Because, I mean, I see Sam at the different events, and she's running around 24. It's like, what is your job today? Whatever I need to do.
I work for Victor. That's what you like to say.
So talk about those two individuals, because I would be remiss if I didn't mention them two specifically, because they've been there from the beginning.
Well, yeah, Sam, Linda. I'm gonna name a couple others so I don't get
don't get yelled at.
Andrea. We have Lauren Velez. We have Brianna Myrie. We have Miss Hannah. There's some people that have been there from the beginning, and I'm talking about, like, I call them OGs, like the OG office, meaning the office that you mentioned earlier, the one on Broward and 441. Samantha was there, Brianna was there, Lauren was there, Andrea was there, even Anne Marie, I believe, was there for a little bit. And my brother-in-law Christian, who was the first attorney that we hired, all of those people were part of that OG office, and they were part of the reason why, and still are part of the reason why they all still work with us. That's the
Of
crazy
course.
part.
Yeah.
They're part of the reason why we're so successful. But the two people that you did mention, Samantha, I like to tell this story a lot. I knew Samantha. I started getting to know Samantha while I was still at Anna Jordan Levine. I met her through Andrea, that I mentioned earlier, who is my sister-in-law. She's married to Annie's brother, and she ended up saying, "Hey, she needs some work." I ended up bringing her over. The cool thing about most of my staff members, 90% of them never worked at a law firm before me, right? At the beginning, I kind of had slim pickings, like it was tough because I didn't have a name. People didn't know our law firm. So it was very hard to get qualified individuals to come and leave bigger name firms to come join my firm. So a lot of these individuals, we had to build. And I say we because it took a team. One of the only people that I would say at the beginning that had some experience was Linda and maybe Lauren Velez, but outside of that, most of the people that we were dealing with, we had to kind of teach them the ropes. And Sam, before she became my executive assistant, she was doing legal work, which she hated. Hated a lot. Then she was doing marketing stuff for our in-house marketing team, and then we decided to venture off and have a separate market. And I had her go over there. And I said, "Hey, Sam, I need you. I'm going to start an agency. Come over here." So like every time I just keep pulling her in different directions, but she's definitely someone that can adapt very well. And not just her, I feel like most of the people that I mentioned that are still with me, Andrea, Brianna, Lauren, Linda, they all adapt very well because we've had to make so many changes and we continue to make changes. But they're a big part of the reason why we've been able to build what we've been able to build. And Linda, for sure, is a huge part of that, right? Linda, like I said, was one of the few people that actually had experience. So she brought that experience to the firm. She didn't have to. She was working at another firm. She didn't even have to leave that firm because she was literally like one of the first people I hired. Like when she interviewed with me, my place was still under construction. I remember we were sitting in the conference room and I was like, "Don't worry, next week it's going to be, please give me a chance." And she ended up giving us a chance. And, for me, it's so cool to see her leading an entire department and being my right hand when it comes to anything car accidents and bodily injury. She's amazing. She handles all of my cases for me and helps me a lot. Like without Linda, our firm wouldn't be where it's at. And
just the fact that you said, "Please give me a chance."
And the crazy thing is, people don't know Linda drives from West Palm Beach every day.
What?
West Palm Beach every day, never late. Never late. And she's always one of the last people to leave. Like her work ethic is amazing. She's so amazing to have. I'm so happy that we have her. She's truly a blessing, and definitely couldn't do it without Linda. Couldn't do it without Lauren, Andrea, Sam, all the people that we mentioned, in the entire firm. But I'm only mentioning these people, Christian, because some of those people were like the original OGs. But now we've got, like you said, 80 plus employees. My best friend is a chief.
I was going to get there.
Yeah, I'll let you get there. But at the end of the day, it's so cool to be able to work with all these individuals, see them grow, see them now become leaders. It's so funny because now they'll come and complain to me about employees, and I start laughing, and I'm like, "Oh, now you know what it feels like." Remember when we used to have these conversations? Now you want to tell me about these employees that are giving you the same issues you gave me 4 years ago. Look at that, how the tables have changed. But no, it's great.
So that's another thing I wanted to mention. Like you have now all these other ventures. I mean, you have the So Fresh restaurant. I know you have a donut shop, pizza place. Did you start a Charlie's cheesesteak? So you have what, 5 or 6 restaurants. You got Slingshot Bros for the slingshots. I don't know if you're still doing that. I mean, you still got that going on.
We sold the slingshots and we sold the pizza place. So we have So Fresh, we have Grain and Berry, we have 2 Charlies that's being built right now.
Yeah.
And we have Hertz Donuts in Plantation that's being built right now. Okay. So we should essentially by the end of this year have 5 restaurants up and running. We also have the firm, obviously, and within the firm we don't only do personal injury anymore. We do criminal law now. We do workers' comp now. We do labor stuff now. We do property. law stuff. Meaning,
You're going full service plaintiff stuff.
yeah, we had
Yeah.
we have to diversify. Just
Yeah.
they tried to change the law. They try to
Yeah.
eliminate us as much as possible. So we can't sit back and get ran over. We got to kind of hit the ground running and try to see what else we can do to try to serve the community. So we've done that, and then we've got some other stuff going on in DR and things like that. So we're busy, but this year, what we're focusing on is a new IT company that we're launching, AIT, and then we're also
Oh,
launching
wow.
a billing company. So there are a few things that we're going.
Wow. So I brought these other businesses naturally because you are big in bringing people with you.
Yeah.
You're a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Pleasure University of Central Florida. You have a group of Lime Brothers who, for people that don't know, you're Lime Brothers when you pledge a fraternity, particularly in a Black Greek letter organization. The guys that you pledge with are called your Lime Brothers. So let me explain that because I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma.
Hey.
And you have guys with you that you've known since, and then of course your best friend back from high school that you've known forever. Like you mentioned, he's your chief operating officer. No, he started as your HR guy. Now you have your Lime brother as the HR director, and I see he also runs restaurants for you. And I mean, these guys that you've come up with. How did it come to pass that they obviously getting into a law firm? Because that's where you started. You started as a law firm. How did that happen? But on top of that, the trust that you have for these individuals because you're bringing guys like what would people say, your day ones type thing.
Mhm, mhm.
How does it feel to help your guys that you've known for so long, help them achieve dreams? Because I mean, they're doing great things, and I mean, I think it's beautiful to see that. I mean, and comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably
There might
one
be
of the.
others there might be others that I'm not aware of. So
Yeah, no,
I
I'll
know I
jump in.
mentioned Jared and Ian specifically.
Yeah, I'll jump into that. What's the point of me having this platform if I can't help people or bring people along? And I
Mhm.
never really understood when people don't do that. And I know some people say,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's tough. You're dealing with your friends, you're dealing with your family, and doing all that." Yeah, but there's some friends and there's some family members and there's some people that can separate that, right? Now there are
Mhm.
some that can't, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
those people aren't employed by me. But I do have certain individuals that Jaron, like you said, he's been my best friend since we were 14. We met each other in high school at St. Thomas Aquinas High School. He's been there through a lot of ups and downs in my life, and I've been there through a lot of ups and downs in his life. I was actually with him when he found out his father passed away. I'll never forget that, July 7th, 2017, 777. And he came to visit me at UCF. His dad had been sick for a while, and then unfortunately he got that call that his dad had passed away from colon cancer, which was crazy because that's the same exact cancer that my grandma had passed away from, my dad's mom. But and recently, actually, his brother just passed away a week and a half ago.
Oh God.
And but he's been through a lot of stuff that I've gone through in my life, and we've always just been there for each other. And for me, it's so great and amazing to be able to have him work at our firm and be such a leader at our firm. And if you're ever at the firm, you'll see that when it comes to like dealing with the staff, I've taken a step back, and part of the reason why I've done that is because I kind of want to create other leaders. If I'm always the one speaking, if I'm always the one talking, then they're
Mhm.
only going to listen to me, right?
Yeah.
But if I have other people in those positions and I give other people that platform, I can create other leaders. And I always tell my leaders, if you want to show me that you're a good leader, create other leaders. That's how leaders become great leaders. Because sometimes you have situations where leaders, and this is one of my pet peeves, they want to hold it to themselves, and because they feel like if I teach this person this, then they're going to come and replace me. And it's like, that's the worst mentality to have as a leader,
Mhm.
right? Because if
Yeah.
you're really, really that great, you're not going anywhere, right? And at the end of the day, the only way I can scale my company is by creating other leaders. If you're the only leader I have, how do I scale? Everything
Yeah.
depends on you, right? So I've been able to bring Jaron on, and like you said, when he first started, he was director of HR because I used to be HR. People don't understand. People will try to come to me and be like, "Oh, look at this. I have to deal with this and I have to." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
remember that I was the janitor at one point. I was HR at one point.
That was
I was
everything, man.
IT at one point. Everything that you guys have done, even the people that are doing demands, like writing demands in our PIP department.
You did those.
I wrote demands. The form that you're looking at, me and
I
Jeremy
know this.
created it. Like, what do you mean? Like, I know all of this stuff, right? But it's great to see him, grow from that position of HR to now chief of operations, where he's pretty much an extension of me. I can't be in the office every day. I have meetings, I have interviews, I have other things that I'm doing that's allowing the company to continue to scale. So it's great to have people that I trust and I can put in those positions to help the company grow. And that's what he does. Not just him, like you stated. I have Ian. Ian was director of HR, but he's grown now into a
Oh,
different
really?
position. So now Ian handles more of, he's the director of revenue. So he helps the company scale. He's an extension of me on that standpoint. He's looking at KPIs, but he's not just looking at Demesmin and Dover. He's looking at everything Demesmin and Dover is doing. So that's all the restaurants. That's everything that has to do with all of that, right? So we also have, Cambrell. I've known Cambrell since I was 18. He was a
Tamriel Davis,
Cambrell
the lawyer.
Davis. He's one of our attorneys now, right?
Yeah.
I was able to bring him on board. I have family members like Christian, my brother-in-law. He's my wife's brother. He was the first attorney that we hired. He's a senior attorney on pace to become a junior partner this year. So like all of these people are.
Does he
people
know this?
He does know he's on pace.
Or you just told? I must say you just told him now.
Nah, I didn't break it live on Legal Legends podcast. No. It's not. We're not breaking news here. But we've had these meetings with him, and not just him. We have meetings with staff members in general because we want people to know that we appreciate them. We see what they're putting into their work and into the firm, and we want them to know that it doesn't go unnoticed and that that you're on pace for a promotion. And if anyone's deserving, it's definitely him. He's the first attorney that we hired. But I've always been a strong proponent in that in order for me to promote someone into a position, I don't want people to think that they're promoted because they're related to me or that I know them, right? I want, when I promote someone, that everyone says, that makes sense, right? Because at the end of the day, that's only gonna be detrimental to them if I promote them without that, right? They're going to be promoted, but nobody's going to really respect them in that position. That's the last thing that I want. But yes, Christian's definitely one of them. Orally, she's a family friend that's become now Jeremy Dover's executive assistant.
Okay.
And she helps with she runs she's the intake director, but also helps with the opening process of our cases. But now she's also Jeremy Dover's executive assistant, which is huge. Right, so you've got Sam as my executive assistant, and you've got Orly as Jeremy's executive assistant, and then you got Andrea, who, like I told you before, is my other brother-in-law's wife. So she runs an entire department. One of our busiest departments, and she's doing it remotely. She's the only employee.
What does she run?
She runs the PIP department.
Okay.
Yeah, so she does it remotely because she was working with us from the beginning, but then her husband had to go to med school, Annie's brother, in Washington, D.C. at Howard University. So it was either hire someone brand new or see if she's able to manage it from over there. And she's been doing phenomenal from over there. Her team loves her. So it's been amazing. And then another person that I've got to shout out, but she's not really a family member, is Annette Truba out of Tampa. So she's the reason why we even have a Tampa office. She's the main person that's been helping us with Tampa from the beginning. When we first started going to Tampa, she's the ride-alongs with us. And we eventually said, hey, why don't you come work with us and help us run this Tampa office? And that's what she did. But like
how many people do you have in Tampa?
I would say roughly about 10. I would say 8 to 10. I don't know off the top of my head, but about 8 to 10 in Tampa. And then we've got about 4 in Chicago. We launched our Chicago office.
Okay, that's right.
So
for those that don't know, Chicago, Jeremy's from Chicago, so I know that was something personal for sure. You wanted to be there as well.
Yeah.
I want to hit on one more thing before because I know you have a schedule, man. And I appreciate all your time. You are involved in an organization called Double Down Fighting Championships. I went to one of the second event. I missed the first one because I was at a legal event. For those of you who don't know, I work with lawyers all the time, and I was at a national conference, the FJA annual, for the first one. But the second one, it was awesome. When you put on an event like that, I mean, that's like, I guess got to be as full circle a moment as it comes, where you're hosting an MMA event. And I remember you told me you just got off a plane from Vegas to get the tarp for the cage. Like, the people don't understand your schedule. You got to go to Vegas to go pick up the tarp And then you ran back to the airport because it wasn't ready or something like that or
Well,
whatever.
I had an issue both times. So the first time we had an event, the very, very first one, which was in June of 2024, if you know anything about throwing a fight or running a promotion or anything like that, the canvas is very important because that's where a lot of your sponsorship money goes, right?
Yeah.
If people want to sponsor the event, they want their logo on the canvas and they want recognition and all that. We usually wait until the last second because you know how it is within a week or so of the fight, that's when everybody wants to sponsor because
Yep.
like now everybody's hitting you up like crazy. So we'll normally hit up the canvas company, which is based out of Vegas. We'll hit them up and say, hey, we want to come pick it up like 3 days before the fight so that we can maximize the amount of sponsorships on the canvas. The first time we were having that event, which was in June, I don't know if you remember, but there was a flood in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
And no flights were flying out of Fort Lauderdale Airport. So the flight that was supposed to go to Vegas, which I wasn't supposed to be on, one of my employees, Malik, was supposed to be on that flight. He couldn't fly out. They told him, no, sir, your flight's canceled. I told my wife, I said, this is my first event. I can't have a trash canvas. I need the sponsor, like I need the sponsorships on the canvas. Like I can't, no. Like I started looking on the phone and then I found a flight leaving out of Tampa within a few hours. Like I think it was like 8 o'clock at night and the flight left at 5 a.m. out of Tampa. So I told my wife, I was like, I got to drive to Tampa. She's like, right now? I was like, I got to drive to Tampa. Packed my bag within like 30 minutes, hopped in the car and started driving to Tampa. Drove to Tampa, got to Tampa at like 1, 2 a.m. My flight was leaving in like 2 hours. So I just stayed up because I knew if I fell asleep, I was going to miss my flight. Stayed up, went to the airport, left my car at the hotel. I got a hotel anyways. Left my car at the hotel, hopped on the plane, landed in Vegas at 9, 10 o'clock Vegas time.
Vegas time.
Canvas was ready at 3 p.m. Picked up the canvas. This is the first event. Picked up the canvas. Mind you, this was Thursday. My event was Friday. So Thursday, I'm in Vegas. This is Thursday, 3 p.m. I get the canvas. I leave Vegas at red eye, 10 p.m. or something like that. I don't remember what. No. Actually, I'm trying to remember. No. It wasn't a red eye. The second one was. The first one wasn't a red eye. The first one was a late flight, leaving at like 5, 6 o'clock or something like that, and arriving in Tampa at 12 or 1 o'clock a.m. local time, like 1 o'clock in the morning, which was perfect for me because if I arrived at 1 o'clock, I can drive back to Miami because remember, my car's in Tampa. Everything's flooded in Fort Lauderdale. So I end up getting on the flight, landing in Tampa, and now I'm waiting for this box that has the canvas. The only reason why I flew to Vegas was so that it wouldn't get lost. I could have it mailed, but I don't want to run the risk of looking for the canvas a few hours before the fight. I'm like, I'd rather have it in hand, put it on the plane, and know that it's there, right? So all the bags go through, and I'm waiting for this one box to show up. And minutes go by, box never shows up. And then finally, a box shows up. I said, oh my God, thank God. I got the box, put it in the car, started driving. Now it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm driving to Tampa at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm driving from Tampa to Miami at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because I have to get there by 8 o'clock so they can start putting the canvas on because I got a show in a few hours. Thank God my business partner at the time kept me company the whole ride. We spoke, but literally I almost fell asleep like 4 times driving. Almost killed myself for this, man. But these are all the things that go on behind the scenes that I must do to make sure that I live up to what I say is going to happen, because I've always been a person of, I'm a man of my word. If I say something's going to happen, something's going to happen, and if I promise my sponsors who paid money to be on that canvas, I have to make sure that canvas is there, even if it's me that physically goes, right? Long story short, we had the canvas for the first event. First event was a success. Second event, I fly to Vegas again, right? This time, when I arrived back in Fort Lauderdale, they left my box. The box wasn't there. Thank God I had an extra day this time.
Yeah.
They ended up bringing the box like on 2 flights after that, and ended up getting the box, and ended up putting the canvas on the inside of the cage. So we ended up having another successful event. But it's a lot that goes into running a promotion like that. So much respect for Dave Feldman and all these other promoters that run events on a daily basis. Very, very stressful, but it was definitely a challenge and definitely something that I wanted to overcome, and I was able to do that.
Do you find it so remarkable how these organizations just do this like clockwork? Like it's like a machine. and
Yeah,
how
I
and
mean,
how and
I
you
do
watch.
find it, I do find it remarkable, but I know that just like with anything, if you put a team together, you can do it. Like I could do it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
If that was all I was doing, but
exactly. You
I'm
got like 10 things going on.
doing a bunch of other things, right? So my time is a little bit more limited than some of those other guys who are all in on their promotion.
Are we doing it again?
I don't know. People ask me a lot. It's funny because I actually talking about this. My DDS belt right here. But I'm
We're
not
doing it
sure.
again. We're doing it again.
I don't know because I have a different focus this year, and I have a different challenge this year. And
There's a secret here that we don't know about.
well, I've kind of hinted at it throughout the interview, but I have a different challenge this year that I want to overcome, and I think that's more important to me, physically, mentally, emotionally, than doing
Okay.
another event. So I don't know yet, but
I was looking forward to MCing the next one.
I know. But maybe we'll get you to do some other things, you know.
Hey, I'd be
But
happy to do it.
yeah, but I don't know yet. A lot of people
Okay.
ask me. My focus this year is the firm. We're growing. We have so many different things that we're doing. I know it took a lot. It took a huge toll on me last year. I felt like I was gone most of the year. Like whether it was the agency, whether it was the promotion, you know, I felt like I was constantly on the move, on the go, and I don't want my firm to suffer because of it. People want my presence. They need my presence. They need me there. They need to feel my energy sometimes, and I think that's important. And then also, I've got some big fighters, and BKFC's taking off, and you know, I want to be a part of that too, to make sure that I'm able to support my fighters. And then I have my own dreams that I want to make sure that I overcome. So we'll see.
Are you in a fight?
Let's see.
Oh, shut up! I was kidding, actually. Jeez.
I
I have one final thing, and then I'm going to ask you for your 3 tips to people.
yeah,
You have the greatest Halloween parties on the planet.
we do.
You have, I mean, every year it's another level. People, I missed this year's because I didn't know it was happening. I missed the Instagram post, so I was very sad.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Uh, but you had Rick Ross perform, Kodak Black perform. Year before it was DJ Khaled performing. I mean, what's next? These folks, these Halloween parties are epic. I've never seen anything like this. So, I mean, what's next? This obviously has to be a staple forever. You know, you can't ever cancel that.
It's tough, man, because like sometimes I like to walk away in the sunset, man. You know, like some people wait too long. Look what happened to my boy Izzy, man. You know, Habib was the only one that did it right. You know, look what happened to my boy Conor McGregor. You know, so Habib, like I said, was the only one that did it right. Sure, I won't say the only one because you also have Floyd. You got Money Man.
Khabib needed to fight some more dudes,
Okay, all right, let's go Floyd
man.
Mayweather. We'll use Floyd Mayweather.
I use Floyd
Mayweather.
because he fought everybody. Because I think Khabib, I don't want to say it, but Khabib needed to fight Makhachev.
No, I get you. But I think Makhachev loses to Ilya Topuria. But that's a whole other topic. And I think they're dodging Ilya for a reason.
Oh, he's a monster. He's a monster.
Yeah, you saw what he did to Volk. So, and look what Volk did to Islam.
Forget that. What did he do to No one's ever put Holloway out like a light bulb like that. Like he would.
Yeah. So I want to know. I want to know what Islam would do to Ilya. Please tell me.
I don't know.
Ilya has top-notch grappling.
That power is
power.
sick.
Like, what are you gonna do to him? That's one other story. I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? A Halloween party.
Halloween party.
Yes. So for me, like I told you earlier, man, I've always, if I do something, I'm gonna do it. You know, and the Halloween party, the way it happened again was on accident. A lot of things happen on accident. Like people think that I'm like forecasting all of these things, and it's like sometimes it's part of life, you know, and you just got to run with it. Like things fall in your lap, and you just got to go, right? And the way the Halloween party started was when we first started our firm in 2019, but really 2020. That was the year of COVID, and there were no Halloween parties for networking events because all the venues were closed. Yeah. And had an individual come to me and was like, "Yo, you guys just moved in here. There are no desks. You might as well just use your venue as." And I was like, "You're right. Let's do it." So we ended up doing it, Had a great Halloween party. Then we did it again next year. Had a great Halloween party. And I've always been like, Jeremy's kind of let me take the lead on it. Anytime it comes to events and things like that, I usually take the lead on it. My history with Kappa Alpha Psi and throwing events and doing things,
Yeah.
I know how to bring a group of people together to accomplish a common goal. And I wanted to, every year, I wanted to take people to a different location, right? And but it's still at the firm, but I'm taking them to a different location. And we took them to Vegas one year. We took them to Europe, where we had Italy, Amsterdam. That was the DJ Khaled one. And this year we decided to take them to Asia. And I think some of these parties are influenced by my trips, I think, because I just came back from Asia last summer, and I came back and like, we're doing Asia, so we ended up doing Dubai, Japan, Thailand, and I think there was one more, but Dubai, Japan, and Thailand, I think for sure. I can't remember what the third one was, but we ended up having, the fourth one. We ended up having live camels at the event, because I wanted people to feel like they were in Dubai. And we surprised the audience with Rick Ross and Kodak Black. So I don't know, man. If people keep asking me if I'm gonna do another one, I may have to ride in the sunset, because the pressure. Who am I gonna bring on next? Jay-Z and Beyonce? Like, where do I go from here? Like, it makes it tough, man. And every year I get stressed about it, and every year I say I'm not gonna do it, but I'll probably.
Well, you could bring on Lil Wayne, since the Super Bowl forgot to do that.
I love me some Lil Wayne, but I can't tell you a song in the last 5 years. This is.
Well, no. He's
it would have to be. It would have to be like classic Lil Wayne, but I can't bring him out by himself. I would have to bring out like a Snoop Dogg, or Chris Brown, or those are some big names I could throw out there. But
I would say DMX, if he's no longer with us, because DMX was one of my favorites.
That'll only work for a few of us. That won't work for the audience. So I gotta always think of that.
Had you met Kodak Black? Because I saw you met him, or he was in Spain at the BKSC event. Did you meet him there, or had you met him before that?
So I've known, he has a buddy of his named Frankie that helps him with a lot of his community initiatives and things like that in the city. I know Frankie pretty well, right? And I was meeting with Frankie actually a few weeks before, and I didn't even know Kodak was going to be in Spain. I was in Spain because one of my fighters was a backup fighter for the main event in Marbella, and Kodak ended up coming out there, and I said what's up to him, but I don't really. If I see somebody here, I'm not like, take a picture. That's not me, right?
Conor McGregor.
So, yeah. and he's the only one I asked for a picture. Actually, you're right. But I connected with Frankie, and I said, hey, Frankie, I had my Halloween party. I know I just saw Kodak in Spain. You think you can make it happen? Kodak's recording right now. I don't know. He's got an album coming out. I was like, see what you could do. He ended up making it happen. Kodak ended up flying. I think Kodak was in like Massachusetts or something, like recording. Oh, wow. Ended up flying the day before and coming out of respect for Frankie more than anything, and it was amazing that he came out. He was so cool. Brought his mom out there. His kids were out there. That was such a cool experience. And then as far as Rick Ross, same thing with him. I know his right hand, Lex Promotions, and I told Lex, I want to do something special this year. I had DJ Khaled last year. I need Ross. So I have Ross and Kodak, because I had to go bigger, right? So again, next year it's gonna be tough because I got to go bigger than Ross and Kodak, and I don't think that's one person, unless it's like Jay-Z or something, maybe Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift will work. Yeah. Taylor Swift. But yeah, that's the epic Halloween party, man.
I appreciate it, man. Give people, attorneys or people in general, because you can bring it from all different angles. What are 3 tips that you would give either an attorney or just people in general on how to grow? I mean, that's the best thing. How to see beyond what you think you see. Like, because the only limit is what the limit you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And how you can get over those fears. Because I think that's probably the best advice you can give anybody, is how to get over the fears of telling yourself that you can't do something or it's too big. If you get what I'm saying, are there 3 things that you've used, or things that you've told yourself that people could potentially apply, whether it's attorneys or just people in business world, period?
Yeah, I mean, I always use the term from Nike, just do it, right? And I think that the problem is that people will think about all these things, say they're going to do them, and they just never do it for whatever reason, right? So one of my biggest tips would just be like, believe in yourself, number one, right? Don't listen to other people, because everyone else is going to tell you why you can't do it because they couldn't do it, right? And they try to put all those negative thoughts on you. You know what I'm saying? And the last
Did
tip,
did these balloons come up on by accident that are
I
flying
don't
through
know. I
my
thought you were
screen?
celebrating. I thought that was the end
No,
of the
I think
conversation.
maybe there's a sign that makes it do that. That's weird. That's maybe the
No, I
StreamYard
put
doing
two
that.
up there, and I was like,
It's not
he's
balloons.
cueing me. I got to get out of here. There
No,
you
it's
go
doing it
again.
again.
There you go again. Maybe they know my birthday's coming up. That's fine.
Maybe the three's gonna bring up the Playboy bunny for KSI or something like that.
And then I would say the third piece of advice. But anyways, third
So
one
number
is
three.
keep going, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep fighting, keep pushing. You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs throughout the journey, but always respect the fact that it's all part of the process, man. And I think people are so quick to get to the destination that they forget to really enjoy the process, and they realize that the process is the most important part. You know, you'll get to the destination, you'll be like, oh, but you don't realize that you learned everything that you needed to learn and go through in the process. And that's what made you become who you are. That's what's molded you into the individual that you've become. So definitely believe in yourself, don't listen to other people, and keep going. And at the end of the day, once you reach those three things and you accomplish your goals, my last piece of advice, even though you asked for three, is to stay grounded, stay humble. You know,
Mhm.
I was watching that documentary that Yeezus documentary, the Genius one with Kanye West, and I was so inspired by it. I don't know if you've seen it. It kind of changed my perspective of Kanye a little bit, but just the relationship that he had with his mom and how his mom, like Kanye would say some of the craziest things. At the time, we thought it was crazy, right? But obviously, he made everything come to fruition, right? But at the time when he was saying all of these things, the one person that believed in him was his mom the whole time. And you'll have a lot of parents, like you said earlier, especially from Haitian community and things like that. They want you to be lawyer, doctor, engineer. And his mom was pushing him. She was a professor, pushing him to be whatever it is that he wanted to be, you know? And what it was, the thing that really stuck out to me was she said, when the giant looks in the mirror, what does the giant see? You know? And the thing is, when the giant looks in the mirror, the giant only sees himself. But when everyone else looks at the giant, everyone else sees a giant, right? So I've always kind of kept that in mind. But the mom also said this, you know, there's going to be a point where you start flying, but it's okay to fly high, but always stay grounded at the same time. So for me, I live by that, where I try to fly high as much as possible, but I try to remain humble at the same time, because I know everything comes and goes, and I can have everything today and it can all be gone tomorrow. But at least people will know, that people that have crossed paths with me will know, and or will feel that I was a great person, that I helped them. And that's probably the most important thing to me than making any kind of money, is the reputation, the legacy that I leave behind.
Okay, you just made me think. There was one more thing I had to bring up, because that's beautiful, actually. I mean, man, I've seen you with your dad, because you mentioned his mom. I've seen you with your dad. You've taken your dad on these trips to fights, to the NBA finals. I think I saw you with him with the Celtics while wearing a Golden State jersey. I think one of them times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But your dad has a smile on his face, like from here to here. I mean, he looks. Forget about it. That smile that you see on your dad's face, because this smile is because of what you've done to me. The pride, the joy. You mentioned the name in the ring, and it's like I play for the name on the back of my jersey type of thing. You know, that's who it's my name. It's my family name. You honored your father's name in a way that I'm sure even in his own, he's probably said, what are your, you know what I'm saying here. The how does it make you feel to see that smile, like to get to experience these things and bring your dad to these things and see how, I mean, it's got to be so dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff. While you were saying, I was trying so hard not to get all choked up, because like my dad is like a huge part of my life, and it
Mhm.
means a lot. I don't want to get emotional, but my dad sacrificed a lot. My parents sacrificed a lot, and for them to be able to see everything I've been able to accomplish means the world to me. And for me to be able to bring my dad to these trips and see the smile on his face and see how he is with the fighters, it's the best feeling in the world. And to see his face when they talk about me, and to see the firm, and for him to be present for all those moments, it reminds me of all the hard work that my parents had to go through to put me where I'm at. And I love the fact that I'm able to share those moments with my dad, my family, my parents, my mom, but most importantly, my dad, because I know how proud that makes him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got to that level, but it hits me because my father passed away almost actually a month after you mentioned Jaren's father passed, because
Oh
my father
wow.
passed 8/19/17. So when I see that, I just I feel so happy for you when I
Yeah,
see those moments. I see your dad and smile like, my God, this guy is so happy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, my
And
son's
I've never seen my
crushing.
dad like that. Growing up, obviously, he's always working and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to see him now, to be, almost 70. My dad doesn't even look like he's almost 70.
No, he's like a freaking 25-year-old, man. He look pimping out there, man.
My dad just turned 7, so for him to be able to see the fruits of his labor, I would say, and be a huge part of everything that we're doing, and being able to travel the world, and my mom being so happy for him because she knows all the sacrifice that he put in for us growing up. I've never got to see this side of my dad. So it's so cool that when every time I travel, anytime I go anywhere, he's a part of that. As far as the fightings and as far as the firm, he's so proud. He reps the firm so much. He talks about us on his radio station, and a lot of people don't know this, that when I first started my firm, it was my parents, my dad and my mom. They let me borrow $25,000. I had $25,000. Jeremy had $25,000, and we've never borrowed a dime. We built this firm and everything that we built so far off of $50,000, $25,000 from my parents, $25,000 from Jeremy, and the rest is history. So, I'm very thankful for my parents. I'm very thankful for the support. I'm very thankful for my dad. He's like my advisor. Whenever I have issues mentally, business wise, he's always there for me. He always helps me out. So yeah, it's cool, man. Cool to bring him on the ride, on the
That's
journey.
awesome. That's awesome, man. Vic, I appreciate this, man. Thank you so much, folks. You just heard from a living legal legend who's done so much for so many people, for this community. He's been given so many awards and presentations, speakers. I didn't even get up to that. We could be here for hours, but he's got things to do. I mean, he's been speaker at so many events. He is an expert. He's a mogul. He's in on that. If you want to say mogul yet, but he's on that trajectory to mogul. If you don't know Victor Demesmin, read more about Victor Demesmin, and you will see. I mean, you have children. This is someone you aspire to be like. I'm so serious. I'm 47 years old, and I've told him so many times how much he inspires me. You know, even though I'm probably 11 years older than you, his birthday's in 2 days. He inspires me so much, and from the the immigrant background, I know how much this means to his parents and how proud they are of what he's accomplished. So, ladies and gentlemen, legal legend Victor Demesmin, Demesmin and Dover Law Firm. I appreciate you, my friend. All the
Thank you.
best and
I'll
continued
say I'll
success.
say one last thing. I'm not the man. I'm just a man, and anything is possible. Anybody watching can accomplish all the things that I've been able to accomplish. I don't want people to think that there's some secret juice. Just hard work, dedication, do right by people, stay grounded, work hard, and definitely have the support. And I have that support, and I want to thank my wife for all her support. I love my wife Annie, and the kids and the family and my parents, and everybody that's been a part of my journey, that continues to be a part of my journey. I wouldn't be able to do this alone. So I thank all of you guys, and I'm looking forward to 2025, man.
All right, man. Legal legend Victor Demesmin. Thank you so much. We'll see you again really soon.
No
Appreciate you.
problem.